Welcome to Fuller Expectations, the podcast for anyone looking at exploring growth, reinvention, and living a fuller life. I'm your host, Carrie Fuller, and every week we'll talk to guests and have honest conversations. We'll share inspiring stories and offer practical ideas to help you create a life that makes you feel aligned, empowered, and authentically yourself, no matter what age or stage you're in. I am so glad you're here. Let's get started with today's episode. Thanks so much for joining us today for this edition of Fuller Expectations. Today we're talking about something that can transform our health and happiness in powerful ways, and that is about community and positivity. My guest today is Susan, and she is an amazing woman who has made it her mission to gather women together for wellness excursions, shared experiences, and uplifting conversations. She believes that when we come together with intention, we not only take better care of ourselves, but we inspire one another to live a fuller, healthier life. In this episode, Susan's going to share her journey and the impact and the connections and practical ways that you can bring more positivity and community into your own life. This is a conversation about lifting each other up, staying well together, and finding strength in shared joy. Susan is a certified life and health coach and the host of Girlfriends Gathering, which is a community where women come together for connection, friendship, and overall well-being. Through activities like hiking, pottery, painting, blacksmithing, and even rail bike adventures, Susan creates spaces where women can belong, recharge, and thrive. She helps women rediscover their worth and prioritize themselves without the guilt. Her own journey of moving beyond people-pleasing gives her a relatable perspective that resonates deeply with other people. She also shares her message through her children's book, The Whisper That Is Mine, which gently reminds readers that mistakes never define their value and that self-compassion is the key to growth. Recognized with the Hartford Business Journal's Corporate Volunteer of the Year Award and Mothers Against Drunk Driving's Community Service Award, Susan has a long history of leadership in both nonprofit and community initiatives. She graduated summa cum laude with distinction from Boston University. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology, and she was inducted into the Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society and received a service award in psychology for her commitment to teaching and community engagement. I am so excited to welcome Susan to this episode where we talk about being healthy together. Let's dive in. Welcome, Susan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here and share my journey and passion for bringing women and all people together for wellness and community and positivity.
We have a really fun topic to cover together, the concept of healthy and community and bringing women together for initiatives focused around health and wellness and community. So that's exactly what we're going to cover today in our Healthy Together episode. So you are the perfect person. You came to my mind when I was designing what this conversation would look like, because how I met you in your role and involvement with so many nonprofit organizations, I just thought of you immediately when I put this together. Thank you so much for saying yes. We'll start with a little introduction. So can you share a little bit about yourself and what led you to be interested in the whole concept of rallying women together as it relates to self-care, wellness, and community?
Absolutely. I'm a children's author, a wife, a mom, and a very proud grandmother to a spicy little granddaughter. And while I love all of those roles, really the most important thing I have learned is to see myself as a beautiful soul, worthy of love and grace. And it is my passion to help other women recognize that for themselves. And back in 2019, I went through a major shift in my life with my career changing. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer at that time, and she's doing well now. And I knew that I really needed to be intentional and active outdoors for my own mental health. This was a time where I could have easily isolated and spiraled. And so what I did is I started telling a few friends that, I'm going to go hike on this day. And I created a little event on Facebook and put it out there and figured whoever shows up is going to be great. And if no one shows up, I'm still on the hook for myself. I will show up. And the amazing thing is that I never once walked alone. Women always showed up. And over time, the group grew. Sometimes we've had anywhere from 25 to 30 women show, and most often it's anywhere from 5 to 12. And really, what began as a way to care for myself became a way to build community, support wellness, and create this amazing space for women to connect with themselves and with each other.
I love that. Your inspiration around the group that you created, which is Girlfriends Gathering, really came out of your own journey for wellness and then just inviting people along with you. Is that right?
Yeah, it's so true. While I realize that self-care is personal, we have to do what we need to do for ourselves. It is really so much more powerful when we share that. And I wanted to create a space where women could gather in nature, enjoy fun activities like pottery or rock painting. I even brought people together, women together, to do some blacksmithing. And then also including a way to give back to the community. And one of those is Women Build with Habitat for Humanity. And, I've watched this group grow from just a handful of friends of mine to women that I never would have connected with before. And what is amazing is every time we get together, it's exactly what it needs to be, no matter the size, no matter what we're doing. It's really about connection and remembering our own worth. And I love it.
It's actually amazing. I think people today are looking for ways to bring more positivity into their life and to get rid of relationships that are toxic and surround themselves by people who are doing things exactly like what you're talking about. So I can totally picture this growing over the years. And I'm sure you've seen it go from something smaller to something much larger. So that's got to be incredible to feel that.
That is so true. And I had begun this in 2019, and I'm so glad that I did because it was already going when 2020 hit and life changed for so many people so drastically. And I was still able to bring people together and support through this difficult time. And we will all face challenges. And, really, it's ensuring that we're together, it's being healthy together and supporting each other in whatever life throws at us. And I have seen it grow and it changes. Certain people come in at certain times and they leave at certain times, but having that connection is really so important.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe that phrase, being healthy together. I love that. When you think about the spark of community, why do you think that community is such a powerful part of wellness?
Community is powerful because it reminds us that we're not alone. Being alone or feeling alone is just crippling. And so wellness is not just about what we do for ourselves physically, it's emotional, it's mental, and it's social. So being part of a supportive group can help us feel seen. It helps us feel valued and encouraged, and it has this beautiful ripple effect in every area of life. And I've seen that when women gather, we lift each other up. We share laughter and stories, and we create this space where everyone can show up as they are. We can show up as our best self, but it's also okay to come as we are and know that we are supported non-judgmentally and can work through whatever challenges come along. And one of the things too is I really believe that recognizing our own value and being surrounded by others in community who value us as well changes the way we see life. We make healthier choices. We feel more alive and more hopeful.
I agree completely. I would love to ask you about an example or a specific moment when you stopped and realized the power of the women gathering that you brought together, when you actually felt like, wow, you saw it come to life. Was there a specific moment where you felt that? And if so, what were you doing and how did you feel about that?
Well, I would say every time I bring people together, I feel that. It's beautiful. But one real specific is the Habitat for Humanity group that I bring together every year. It's part of Women Build, it's an annual event. And women will often tell me, I've always wanted to do this. It's on my bucket list, but I'm a little nervous. I've never used power tools before. I don't know how to do fill in the blank. And I assure them that it's fine. You do not need to come with any skills, just show up. And every single time, and I've been doing this for over a decade, every single time there are women who walk through that door nervous, apprehensive, not so sure of what they can do. And then you watch them come alive. They use a power drill for the first time, and it's amazing just what that does for themselves. And we see women encourage each other. We come together and we build something that we didn't think we could do. And just seeing their own strength come alive is amazing. There's so much joy, and the women are just, they feel so inspired at the end of that. And many times women will tell me after that, I have got to do this again. I never dreamed it would feel like this. And I have women who have joined me every year and continue to do so because there's such an energy when all of these women come together, learn something new, meet someone new, and continue to feel amazing because they've not just made themselves feel better, but they also know that they are impacting lives beyond that moment. And that feels really good as well.
I have to tell you because I don't think that I ever told you this before. I remember reaching out to you. You were organizing one of the women build, and I think I saw it on Facebook or something. And I had a conflict for the day that you were doing it, but I needed to do or organize a team building activity for my work family. And so although I couldn't do the women's build with you that day, I thought I'm going to get in touch with the Habitat chapter near me. And I did. And we organized it for a separate day. That's what we did for our team building activity. And to your point, you go in without knowing how to do anything. And there's a contractor that's on site that's in charge of the project that day who actually works with you and teaches you. And we installed the flooring in one of the bedrooms and I put in a bathroom vanity. It was so much fun, but my work family had the best time. And at the end of the day, they were like, we have to do this again. It's quite amazing. So, for people listening out there, I think if you're looking for an initiative in your community and you want to bring your friends together for something, that is such a great idea. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. And that is the beauty is you do not need to know how to put up a wall or install a vanity or any of that because they have the people there to help you. And I have to say, you sharing this story with me is exactly what I talk about when it brings me joy to do this, but there's a ripple effect. And that's the power, is there's a ripple effect just by knowing that there was something going on. You thought, let me see what I can do with that. And you carried that on. And that brings me so much joy, knowing that I've had a small piece to help somebody move something else forward. And it becomes so much bigger than that small piece that we started with.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I love when people share that they've gone on to do something else because of their experience in something that they've done with me. It's not the accolades. It's not because I need to know that. It's just it. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Let's make
Yeah.
this world a better place and make us feel like we are more in community and expand that feeling so that people don't feel alone, that they feel more valued and vibrant.
Yeah. I love that concept of the ripple effect because it's true. And I remember the girls at work sharing photos of our team build and we had shirts made and everything else. But then the people who they're connected with who may have seen that and maybe did something because of it. So that's the whole concept of the ripple effect. And it can be so significant. And I think, especially today with the world the way it is, and there's not enough positivity. So doing things like that, it's something that I think just has the power to grow way beyond what it started at. And it all goes back to, your posts on social media about your women's build. So that's very cool.
I love it.
Yeah. So how do you see this whole connection and group and relationships, the gathering? How do you see that helping with stress, motivation, or even healing for yourself or the people who come to be a part of it?
These gatherings, big or small, they create a space for us to step away from the stress of the day, to recharge and reconnect with what's important. I'm not saying that the job's not important, that our family's not important, but there's a lot of stress that can build up. So when we give ourselves the space to just be, it's a beautiful thing. And when we hike together or create art or give back through these service projects, women leave those experiences feeling lighter, perhaps more confident, definitely more connected. And I hope that they feel more valued. And for myself, it helps me to maintain balance and joy in my life. And, I want that for everyone. These experiences provide a chance for us all to come together and laugh, which we do. We share stories, and the relationships that we have built in these gatherings often extend beyond that time. And I have seen women connect for the first time and say, "Oh my gosh, you live in the same town that I do." And they have gone off to hike together or grab a coffee together. And it builds this amazing support network and a sense of belonging that continues to nurture our wellness long after the hike or the project ends.
And you talked about some of the activities that you've done, the hiking and rock painting and things like that. How do you choose activities? How does that come to you?
Really, I look for something that seems fun. It could be something that I tried on my own. It could be a hike that I went on my own, or I see something come across my Facebook newsfeed that I figure that might be fun. And if I think that it's fun, somebody else probably will too. And so then I will work on finding a date to bring people together. And if I can tie it into a mission, something where it's going to benefit other people. That's why habitat matters to me. I'm getting women together in the next month, and we're going to be doing a painting activity, but it will be at a nonprofit. So these women will then learn a little bit about the nonprofit that they might not have learned about before, and see how that organization is giving back significantly to the local community. And that's what I look for, a way that's going to bring us together. It's going to be fun. It's going to be something where you don't need to have all kinds of experience in order to go. And I want to make sure that it will give women an opportunity to connect, de-stress, and find a way to feel more alive and more capable in what you do. I actually co-lead a co-ed hike every month as well. And those are very different because I've said to the ladies, when we do our ladies hikes, it will take a little longer because we're going to stop, we're going to pose, we're going to take lots of pictures. Where with the co-ed hikes, we move a little bit faster. And I try to snap pictures as I'm walking along then so that I have something to remember them by.
That's awesome. This is like true positivity in action. I would love to talk a little bit about your perspective on mindset. So, what role do you feel mindset plays in healthy living?
Mindset is absolutely everything. Sure, you've heard we can't control what goes on around us, but we can control how we respond to it. And that is so true. And it starts in our minds. For example, if I'm out on a hike and it starts to rain, I can choose to focus on the fact that it's cold or it's wet and focus on the discomfort, or I can embrace that as part of the adventure. Simply shifting my mindset about the experience changes everything. And so choosing to have a positive or a growth oriented mindset helps us to make healthier decisions, helps us to bounce back from challenges or navigate through them, and notice the good even in difficult moments. With these, I'm not saying that we don't recognize that life is challenging. And there are some things that are really, really hard. And I'm not one that puts positivity out there like it's this rose-colored glasses, nothing is going wrong. But it is telling myself in certain circumstances to really make sure I'm focusing on what can I do in this moment? What am I grateful for in this moment? So that I can get through. Because if I don't do that, if I focus on all of the hard parts and all of the negativity, I slowly start to spiral downward, and I'm no longer doing so well. And I want to be at my best, and I want other people to recognize that they can do that too.
Do you think positivity is something that people are born with, or do you think it's something that they can build on?
I totally believe that we are all born with the ability to see the good. And society does a little number on us, I would say, as we go along. And some people they may lean more toward optimism. So it is a muscle that we can build. We can always make the choice of what we're going to focus on and what we are going to practice. And practicing things like gratitude, mindfulness, connection with people, and celebrating small wins. Really, anybody can grow that mindset that's going to support their wellness and their joy and their resilience.
I agree with you. And I do think that people become their environment. So if you're in a place where there's unhealthy relationships and there's just negative things being said to you and things like that, I do think that that does get sort of absorbed into you. I mean, I personally have been in situations where, I was in an unhealthy relationship and you can literally feel yourself becoming a different person. And so I agree completely that it's definitely something that you can build like a muscle. You have to remove those toxic people and relationships from your life and surround yourself with positivity, which is another example of why this group is such a great thing to start and to even be a part of, because it is something that ebbs and flows. And I think our lives are made up of so many different chapters. I think we all feel that way. We're like in the back half. And so
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, I think that you could have had or be in the middle of an experience that's just not good for you. And it does impact your health. And you definitely can step away and take a part of something like a positive girlfriends gathering, and it can literally change your whole perspective.
That is so true. And I believe having a sense of self-awareness is so important because we can feed messages. I noticed this just recently in the last couple of days. I was always out walking and moving, and that's when the peacefulness comes back to me. I regain that sense of balance. And when I go out and walk around the neighborhood, I don't put things in my ears. I'm not listening to anything other than my surroundings. And for the last couple of days, I was extra busy and I didn't get to take my walk because I chose different priorities. And then I was so tired at the end of the day that I found myself picking up my phone and scrolling. And most of what I see is positive because the algorithm has learned that's what I like. But all the other things do kind of creep in. So I was listening and watching more, and it was changing within me. I could feel my peace shifting. And I've practiced enough that I can recognize those subtle shifts and put myself back on track. But if you haven't practiced that to become self-aware and notice when the shift begins, it is harder. It's not impossible to shift back, but it's harder if you're not aware of those little triggers that will pull you off course. And it's so important to, like you were saying, to remove yourself from toxic relationships and situations, and also be very aware of what you are feeding your mind. What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching? And if you take an inventory of those things and see that they are not feeding your soul, they're not feeding the peace that you want to have, then you have the power to change that. And it's so important.
Yeah. So I've known you for over a decade, and I think we met because of nonprofit events. And I've attended lots of nonprofit events because that's what my background is in fundraising. And so, as you have participated in different community events and things like that, can you share what the most surprising or inspiring thing that you maybe learned from other groups, being a part of other events, and the women, even in the gatherings that you've put together? What was something that really surprised or inspired you?
There have been so many with all of the years. And I really think in general, it's this strength and resilience that women carry, and how when we come together, it's really such a lifeline during challenging times. And many of the women in the groups actually have navigated major life transitions. It could be divorce, it could be caring for aging parents, or supporting a loved one through a serious health crisis or your own health crisis. And I've watched women come together around these. And even most recently, a couple of my friends have gone through the challenge of divorce and have found such community by coming together with other people. And now, mind you, my groups are not therapy. It's not some traditional therapy where you come and bear all of what you're going through. But we still do share in a place where it's non-judgmental, and we find that we are not alone and that we can overcome these things. And it's really been a sense of empowerment. And these experiences actually have inspired me to create a wellness journal that I'm working on for women so that more people have a tool that can help them to reflect, become more self aware, nurture their value and connect with themselves in even these difficult seasons. And, there's more to come on that project, but, it's just the ability for us all to come together and share in life's toughest moments and support the joys along the way is so important.
That's perfect. How do you think this has shaped your own wellness journey as you've done and organized and participated in these gatherings? How has that shaped your own journey?
Leading these gatherings has really made me more intentional about my own well-being. And I knew back when I started bringing people together, I did not have this vision of what it is now. I just knew that I needed to have that connection. And if I left it to my own devices, I might not have done it. And it's easier to kind of let it slide if nobody knows. And that's why I said I'm putting it out there and I'll show up no matter what. And over the years, it's really shown me how important it is to have these connections. And in that process, to nurture my body, my mind, and my spirit while also building these connections with other people. And being part of community reminds me that wellness is both personal and collective. When we're together, we grow stronger and more vibrant.
So, we're going to offer some takeaways for our listeners. And in that, let's start by talking about how someone can take a small step today to find more community in their lives. What would you recommend they do as a first step?
I would encourage them to say yes to one invitation to connect. Even if it's a short walk, a local class, find something that's going on in your local community or a volunteer opportunity. It feels great to give back with other people who are giving back. And really, community starts with just a single step. You don't have to make it huge. Just this small step of connection really can grow into meaningful friendships that support your wellness.
And if there's anyone out there who might feel isolated, how do you recommend they start building positivity and connection in their own wellness journey?
Start small, but intentional. Sometimes we can make things feel overwhelming by thinking we have to already be at the end. Just start small. Reach out to someone you trust for a conversation. Join a group that is something around an interest that you enjoy doing. If you like to paint, that's something that I can gravitate to. Just give that a try or take a mindful walk outside. It's important to remember that no one person can give you everything, but connecting with different people and learning together and sharing these experiences helps us to feel valued, supported, and more alive. So just again, start small and reach out to that one person that you kind of think you have something in common with and that they would be fun to be around.
What's a daily or weekly practice that you can recommend to bring more joy and health into someone's life? What's something that they might be able to do?
My answer is always going to include nature somewhere because there is something so healing about being outside. So spend intentional time in nature, even if it's 10 minutes and more than a walk to your mailbox and back. Something where you get out and listen to the birds, walk around the neighborhood if that's possible, go to a park and combine that with some sort of reflection, journaling, writing about what your thoughts are, and find a journal that works for you. I find it very helpful when there's a journal that has prompts that gets me thinking about something, whatever's going to work for you that is going to help you along that path, or a creative expression, to reconnect with yourself.
I love journaling too. And there was a specific time in my life where I was going through some pretty rough stuff, and I wrote in a journal every single day. And actually, I was then able to take that and look back on it. And it either reinforced some decisions that were hard decisions that I had to make at that point in my life. It reinforced that. But then it also, as I read back on it, it reminded me of how far I came. So I think journaling is really powerful. So if there's anyone going through hard times in their life, whether it's a career transition or a relationship transition or just any kind of negativity or even positivity, journaling on a daily basis and then reflecting on that is so helpful, I think, in making yourself realize and give yourself a pat on the back for how far you've come.
Absolutely. I have to echo that, where it has been really eye-opening to go back and read something that I have written years ago, even decades ago, and think, wow, how far I have come, or to see things that in a different light that I wrote about back then. And sometimes I've written things and I thought, oh, I didn't even realize I thought that way. And it's amazing. It's very encouraging and reinforcing to know that you've made it through some difficult things and you can do that again.
Yeah. And I've had a friend too who journaling sometimes is handwritten in a book and sometimes it can be something that you type in the computer. I had a friend who actually opened email accounts for each of her kids, and every day she would write them a letter on the email. And they're, younger now, but when they get older, she's going to give them the login information and they'll actually have full inboxes of all of the letters that she wrote to them over the years. I just thought that was
I
so
love
cool.
I
Yeah.
love that. That is such a beautiful idea. I hope other people take that up with
Yeah.
anybody. That's
I
so
wish I thought
beautiful.
of it when my son was younger because that would just be so cool. But so if you don't think that you have anything to write letters to someone and then give them to them later on, or you don't even have to give them to them at all.
And
But
imagine the ripple effect of that. You know, you're
yeah,
writing something to someone, your child as they grow, or someone else, the ripple effect of love that you can spread with that. And in doing that, when you extend love to someone else, whether it be in a heartfelt letter or any action, you are also the recipient of that amazing act of love. It's not something that you think about, but you really are. It benefits you and you feel better, you feel more uplifted. So the ripple effect comes right back at you.
I agree completely. So, Susan, in closing, if you could leave listeners with one message about the power of community and the power of positivity, what would that be?
I would say community reminds us of our value, helps us grow, and shows us that together we are more resilient, more hopeful, more alive. And I said it before that, no one person can give us everything that we need, but collectively we learn, share, and become more beautiful together. And, when women come together in nature, creativity, or in service, which I love to do, we find strength, healing, and joy that we cannot find alone.
Nice. Perfect. So if people want to get involved or maybe even start a gathering in their community, I can definitely put some information in the notes for the podcast so people can look there about connecting with you or reaching out with questions or next steps. This has been really, really great. I think it's going to be helpful for so many people.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful. I love connecting with you, and it's a joy to be able to share with your listeners some of the things that I've enjoyed doing to bring people together and just talk a little bit about the power of connectivity, community, positivity, and self care. And I really hope that all of your listeners feel encouraged to take the small steps toward connection and wellness in their own life.
Well, I have to say again, you were the first person that I thought of when I thought of an episode like this. And I am just so glad you said yes. Thanks for listening today. If this episode sparked something in you, please share it with a friend, leave a comment or a review, and reach out and let me know what resonated. Remember, no matter what age or stage of life you're in, you can pivot. And always remember, the second half of life is not a winding down. It's a waking up. Please follow or subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our podcast family. Let's keep showing up and being the best version of ourselves. Until next time, take care.